Hello, welcome to another laptop talk. This one's going to be about the tantric work with eroticism, with eros. Um, this territory of tantra was not necessary in the old school tantra world, in the area that's preserved in the writings and so on that I call museum tantra. And it's not much known in the current development of Tantra in the world and the current arising. But in the school we find it very important. So Eros and following the arising of that is an ancient spiritual objective. Old Plato commented on it. He said Eros leads us to gnosis. And in that pursuit, in the Eros leads us to gnosis model, Eros is the arising of your urges, of your wantings, your choices, your preferences in life. It's the true arising of your will. And it covers obviously a huge range of life. It's the employer you choose. It's the marriage partner you get involved with. It's all sorts of things in life resonating, usually resonating with the past until the past has been evoked and felt in completion, felt in its completeness. And in the Western world, the part of Eros, the part of the arising of our will, our urge that we have trouble with, is the area of our sexuality, of where Eros meets sexuality, and this is the territory of eroticism. So why this and why it's necessary? Well, I've done another laptop talk on the topic of the retarded sexuality of the Western condition, so have a look for that if you want some background on it. But the bottom line is it becomes necessary in the school. We regard it as very important, working with the eroticism consciously to catch up on the natural process, to recover from that retardation, and hopefully make progress then as good tantrikas. I mean, this retardation is why Tantra historically, when the Western world started to meet Tantra and other teachings that weren't sexually suppressed in general, people saw them coming. They saw these Westerns coming along, and they saw that their own level of sexual maturity was barely, just they were more or less in the childhood of sexuality, if that. Modern American mainstream eros, perhaps as expressed in the movies, the American Pie sequence, certainly, it's a teenager level eros, and all the characters in that through to adult, it's a teenager level eros, eroticism. It's retarded. So anyway, to recover that, to make up for that in our school, on our retreats, workshops, some sessions sometimes cross over, individual work can cross over into this area too. We explore areas of the cultural eroticism. What I do is the exercises that I've chosen for that, I aim them as near as I can to really the center of the cultural eroticism, the way I see it. I watch it and okay, I think the middle of it would be exactly there. And so we pick aspects of it and I aim for the middle of them. And by aiming for the middle, the hope is that having been raised in the culture, having been part of the modern world, the world that watches American TV, that particular eroticism, me aiming for the cultural center, should mean that it falls pretty much within the range of hopefully pretty much everyone doing the group. So for some, an exploration into that kind of eroticism work on the group might be quite, from the tantric perspective, relatively gentle. For example, if we're playing with the eros of money, of buying, of selling, as we do on one group, it's possible to engage with the games of that on the level of buying, watching a few things. One can be tentative, sort of, with these experiences. What you can't really be tentative about is what these strong experiences taken on any level are going to evoke in you. They're going to hopefully do the work of raising lots and lots of feelings that you once put away for later and get you up to date on them. So it's harsh emotional work, erotic work. A lot of fun too, because following the eroticism is natural, and when you get kind of a bit over the cultural standard repression, it's some aspects of it sure are delightful, and of course mixed with the hurt, the pain of having been constricted, that one has to actually be deliberate to find one's way in these things. So for some people at that tentative level, it's sometimes just they come along, or they're there for the whole retreat and this is one of the exercises, and so they engage with it. And they perhaps think there isn't much of that. That particular area of eros may not be that relevant to their particular lives. May not be really something that goes particularly deep with them. And sometimes for them on such a retreat or group, the experience is one of finding out that, oh me, oh my, I do indeed have a lot of strong energy contained around this particular area, and some exploration, maybe some guidance is probably a good idea right now, and they then get on with that exploration. For other students of the school, more experienced ones and so on, that kind of retreat work is sometimes an opportunity to look into that particular area of eroticism and go, okay, I've met most of mine, but there's this or that outstanding. Let me put myself there for whatever that happens to be, and engage with the game on a level of aiming to complete a particular area of eros, to come to the dissolution of the eroticism and the completion of the experience, the completion of all the feelings put away for later, that particular eroticism was there to evoke. The test of whether something is in your eroticism or not is quite simple. I can define it very simply indeed. If you think it, if there's something you can think about, someone, something, some style of sex, some setting, someone in a setting with a particular style of sex, whatever, if you think it, there's something you can think. And lo and behold, by magic, just by having this thought in the head, oops, there is a heat in the body. And that is an eroticism. I know the general modern Western sexology and therapy view would be that the mind is the biggest sexual organ, and that all sexuality is thus. It is the mind dreaming something up and the body responding. Sorry, but that's part of the retarded sexuality of the West. This is not true. The brain is not even a sexual organ. The sexual organs are located lower down in the body, in the genitals, and the arising of energy there coming up through the body and reaching to the mind, and on the way there going through all the various levels of human expression on the way. That is the natural developed direction, but incredibly rare. in not our part of the world, our world, pretty much the whole of it, for quite a while now. So my work, of course, is the other side of that cultural understanding. So engaging consciously with eroticism is part of my work. The other exercise, there's two main exercises with eroticism that I teach lately in retreats and so on. The one I've mentioned, buying and selling, we call it celibate Tantra, as in celibate and buy a bit. And it's huge fun and very kind of open-ended in the experience of it. Quite a few people have done it now in quite a few groups. There's no predicting how anyone in particular or how any group as a group engage with it. Even out of the number I've done so far, there's nothing typical. There's nothing standard. People are varietous, but within that variety, yes, that particular central cultural eros of buying and selling, considering, what would it be if you were to walk around everyone that you were on a retreat with and say, well, if you were selling, I would be interested in buying. Is there something? And, not what you necessarily prepared to say, but what does that evoke in you? What do you then know in you? And so on. The other, and that game, we play with buying and selling. How to say, the most popular thing probably has been, on one group, there were two dakas of the school, two men that are well along with their Tantra work, and they offered, offered, in the selling of the celibate of Tantra, a double daka delight. The two of them, I don't know what they did. I just introduced the exercise, and I'm more or less available for people who have, complaints, difficulties, problems, not knowing what to do, etc. I'm generally available for help with that kind of thing. So I don't see exactly what these guys did, but I do know that they went in their little room, they had a queue of women outside the door, and they didn't get out of there for the entire retreat, and they didn't get to buy anything, I heard. So it goes. It's just a few hours, that particular game. Very intense, very scary, as real as you make it for yourself, and certainly evocative of things which you may have put away for later, and which the general cultural tendency of suppressing the eros, suppressing eroticism, maybe a little bit of recovery from that happens. Generally, a lot. The other one is power. We play with the eroticism of power. I'm not going to go into details about that one, but again, I aim for the center of the cultural eros in a way. And we explore power, and we gender bias it. And it's not fair. But it kind of balances the way the world has it, generally speaking. In the world, men who have the urge to play with their power, to an extent they have the opportunity, more difficult for women. So with the power game, we tend to have the power be overtly held by the men for an hour, hour and a half, and then 3 or 4 hours with the women, and it has been known on such groups that 3 or 4 hours, and they don't want to stop, and they continue the exercise. That's how to say, might sound scary. It's a bit scary. Not so scary for me. Again, I start the exercise off, and then I'm available for helping with difficulties. And so far, I'm doing probably about over half a dozen ish of these things. nothing typical emerges there. It really is shaped very much by who's on that retreat and how those particular energies of those particular people flow. It's about as personal as it could get, of course. And as I say, I don't see most of what happens, but I've had very few complaints. There was one young lady that was a little bit upset that some of the other women figured she was being a bit too harsh with some man and stopped her. And she even said, I checked in with the guy and he was fine. What could I do but suggest, well, maybe just, take him away from them and tell them you're going, you're making up your own mind about something here and you're just borrowing one and leave the rest with them. And she went off quite happy. But in the course of these things, I'm sure you get the idea that playing with those kind of things in the context of a game may sound like interesting, entertaining, frivolous fun, but of course, as in engaging with things like this in real life, yes, sure, there's that, and it evokes large, very large, mixed, rich feelings, mostly not at all proportionate to the situation. And for the therapeutic value of that, look at my other laptop talk on disproportionate feelings, I think it's called. The prize, if you should progress well with catching up on following your eroticism, make up for what you may have restrained in the teenage years and so on, when it's natural to explode with these energies. The good news is it can go really fast. The good news is you can move much faster in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s than you could have in your teens. Your emotional capacity is larger. Don't think of the path as a linear thing, one line, one end to the other, and you miss a bit and you're retarded, and you're stuck and you can't continue. That's why the East wasn't very keen to teach Tantra to the West. But it's more like assembling the parts, putting together a jigsaw puzzle. So, Western culture, modern world culture, we miss a few parts. Oops, but we can catch up with them a bit later on. And because we're moving in a natural direction, going with the arising of existence instead of being in an attitude of opposing it, as is our general trend, it goes fast, it goes easy. Like I've said before in some laptop talk, it's easy in the way that learning to ride a bicycle is not easy. In exactly that way, because it's a natural thing. Once you start, it flows. And the prize is, as you move with this, you raise disproportionate feelings of the past. If they should be complete in you at some point, finished, then your response to the moment, whatever's in that moment, becomes just your response to that moment. In spiritual language, we call this living in the moment. Nice words, big meaning. It means not that in the moment you get my reaction to the associations of things past that I haven't finished feeling my way through, and you get that reaction from me. That's not in the moment. And in the moment does not mean you get my restriction to try and contain my response to this moment and suppress anything of the past that may be arising for me. No. It means in this moment, you get just me in this moment. That's living in the moment. And that's the prize. Not the whole potato, but one of the major steps along the path that is available through the work of eroticism, consciously engaging with your eroticism, consciously taking on the feelings it raises, taking the emotional risks, and enduring what arises as one passes through this rather tricky phase of human experience that most Westerners never even get